Uh, Basically what we have here is two hinges back to back, a spring, a bolt, a pad for the bolt to go up against so it doesn't screw into the wood and cause a hole in it and eventually go into your stock. And they are spring loaded with a spring that goes in between both of them. So if this one comes this way, it springs back. If this one comes back, it comes back. If both doesn't go, they both come back. It don't matter which way you do it. You have your adjustment. And the problem we're having is these are too close together, even at its furthest point. I even tried taking and cutting this padding off on the back side to contour this piece right here so that it would go a little further. But because it's got a step up right there, it's pretty much the same distance, so I really didn't gain anything, as you can see. So basically what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come in here on this section right here and file that down at a contour like so. That will allow this to go further, which means I'm going to have to take this piece out, file it down to where it's pretty close to this indicator here, which I don't know why I put that indicator. I think it was because I took pieces off of this hinge and didn't have no place to put it, so I just put them there to make it look more sophisticated, I guess. One of them bison moments. And then we'll put this back in after we've done the shaving. So that will allow this to go further, and then it will let this part of the gun rest in the cradle here instead of being up this high, because when it's up this high, it's constantly, the weight of the gun is pushing down on this and causing it to squeeze into it. And then when you go to take your gun out of it, this is stuck to the stock and causes this stuff right here. I don't know if you can see that right in here. It's all eat up on both sides. So that's what we're going to do to the vise. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the gun. Yesterday I was shooting at a hornet's nest, and this here is the bolt handle that came off of right there, and this here was only 5 30-second threads. Well, I'm sorry, that's not adequate enough for something that's going to have that much of a spring in it, because this thing's got a spring in it and sometimes it's pretty hard to get back, so to get it to click, and that's a lot of pressure on a little 5 30-second thread. So I made a new one yesterday on the lathe, and I made it 1/4 thread, drilled this out and tapped it, and it works really good. There's a drawback to this. The drawback is, now that I have changed the diameter of this bolt was so close. Let me show you what I mean. This here was really close to this housing here, or the breech, and it allowed it to go further forward so that you could lock it, drop the thing down and lock it. Well, because it's 1/4, I made the diameter bigger. So now what it's doing, it's hitting here before the little lever on the other side in this hole is going into the slot. So it's lacking about a 1/16 of an inch of going forward enough so that this will go down. Right now I can pull it back anytime I want. Of course I don't want to cock it, so I'm not going to pull it back. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take the bolt out. Now I had thought about machining this little area here just on this side right here to allow that bolt to go forward. So that involved me taking all this apart and taking the breech off, taking it apart, and the safety and all that stuff, and I just wasn't ready to do all that much work. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bolt clear out, and I'm going to take and cut these threads down to where the threads only go halfway into the bolt. And then I'm going to take a 1/4 20 set screw on the other side right here and put in there, and that will lock it in place. Now once I've done that and got it locked into place, then I'm going to take the bolt clear out, and then I'm going to flatten this side of the handle to allow this to go forward another 1/16 of an inch, and then it should work just fine. That's the idea, and we hope it works. But I just believe that a 1/4 inch shaft is just a little bit stronger than 5/16 or 5/32. You know, that's crazy. Because like I said, this does have a lot of pressure to pull that back, as you can see. And it just needs to go forward enough so that I can lock it down. Otherwise, right now, it's not really sealed right here because this here is tapered and goes up against an O-ring. So it only goes in just that far. It's just barely touching the O-ring. So if I go to shoot it, this is going to fly back. We don't want that. So I guess the next step will be to take this out and go from there. Alright guys, well I couldn't find an Allen head set screw, so we're going to have to make us a set screw. And I'm going to show you how I do this. Basically what I've done is screwed my bolt in to where it rides halfway in the middle of the bolt itself. And then I put a stud in the other end, and it goes halfway to the center of the bolt. So now what I'm going to do is take a hacksaw and we're going to cut that off right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut it to where there's a couple threads more. Simply because I got to be able to get it back out. And once I've got it, the straight head screwdriver slot in it, then I can screw it in and trim however many threads I need to trim off of. So we'll get started on that. Actually, you know what? Let me change this. I'm not worried about the threads on this other end of it. This will make sure it stays in place. Now, I'm a thread away from it. Now we're going to try this and see how that works. And I hate hacksaws. Especially when every one you get, the teeth are tore up on it. That's what you get for buying cheap blades. Alright, now that we've got that cut off, now we can take and unscrew that and trim the edge off of it. So I'm just going to take it over to the grinder here, and we're just going to try to straighten up that little bit of burr. So now basically all we have is a set screw. So now, to make it so we can extract it, since this side looks better, we're going to use that for the outside where we're going to put for the straight screwdriver to screw it in. This side, it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do is we're going to screw that in another thread and a half maybe. Well, we're going to have to use the good side for inside. Alright, and then we're going to tighten that up. And holding this stuff's not going to be easy. Alright, now that we've got that tight, I'm going to try to flatten that side up a little bit. So we just kind of flatten that off and make it contour. Alright, she looks pretty straight. So now we've got two choices. We can take a hacksaw, which I don't see happening because if you look, this thing is missing teeth from here all the way to here. That's got maybe 2 teeth there, and then it's skipping to about 2.5 right here. You know, this is them old cheap ass Harbor Freight hacksaws, and I have only used this year made it the 3rd time I've used it. So basically these are throwaway saw blades. Don't buy Harbor Freight junk hacksaw blades. Alright, so since I don't have a decent hacksaw blade, I'm going to go with the grinder option. So I'm going to get my Dremel set up and probably replace the battery in the camera while I'm doing that. And we're going to do a line across there for a screwdriver to fit in. Also, this here, if I was to use this it probably wouldn't be thick enough. So hacksaw blade to make a straight head set screw is really not an ideal thing. So, you know, you want it to be wide, and the disc on a Dremel is about the same width as a screwdriver tip. So it only makes sense to use the screwdriver tip. So we're going to go ahead and get set up and ready for that. Alright, now we're over here at the vise. Well, we've been at the vise. And I've come up with a plan of attack on this. I'm going to start off with a hacksaw blade, an old used one that's wore out from here to here, but the ends are still pretty new because I don't go the whole length of my blade. So, you know, I've got a little bit of here that's still brand new. And we've got it set. I swear to God, man. Hold on, guys. Alright, I'm back, guys. That was my buddy Crafted. And I told him he ruined my video. And I told him I was going to leave my reaction to his phone call in the video. So that's what we're going to do. So we need to use this and try to do this as straight as possible in the center. Now I've just got a little old disc on it, and that's my last. Well, no, it ain't. I got some more of these. I need to get some bigger ones, the thicker ones. And we're just gonna grind that in the center. And as you can see, it's sticking out that far by about 2 threads. So what we're going to do, as you can see, I've got my square or my groove. Now I'm going to take and screw that in all the way until that comes out 3 threads. And the reason for that is so that when I take the 2 threads off and I go to back this back into the hole, it will clip the little edge that's going to be around it, the little burr. And then I can take this completely out and take a pair of pliers and hold it and just barely touch it with the grinder just to kind of chamfer it a little bit. So we've got that at about, I'm going to say 2.5 threads. Now, to hold that in place, I'm going to screw another 1/4 20 screw in it, and we're going to tighten it up. Like, there it is. Had just enough burr on it to keep me from going in there. Alright. Now we've got our set screw in there. Now we'll go ahead and take this and put it in there. I need to make me a set of wooden jaws from, and I've been meaning to do that. Alright, so now we just tighten that up really tight against that set screw. And there we have our bolt. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in there in the vise, and we're going to flatten that by about 1/8 of an inch to start off with. Just this side right here. Now the reason for the set screw was so that we could tighten this up any place we want so that we can always put that flat side near the breech. That was the whole purpose of doing that. So now we're going to try to, sure would like to have a better setup here. Alright, so now we're just going to take a file and we're going to file it down. And right there's what we got happening. We got a flat side here, and we're hoping that that's going to be enough. It may not be, but we'll find out. The key is to testing it. So let's take our tape off of it and test it out and see how she works. Alright guys, what we've done is cut that to where it's flat, and it misses this corner. So we're going to stick that in. Now, there's a reason why I did it this way. There's two reasons. One, to miss that, and second, to this is a reversible. You can change this knob to work on this side also, so, or handle, so you can make it to work on both sides. And now we've got it to where it misses and it turns. So now we can put our set screw back in there. And now it cocks and goes back together. So now we've got it straightened up and fixed. Better looking knob or handle. As you can see, the original one was just nice and flat. This is, I put some ridges in it, and yes, I didn't get them all uniform. I don't know why. I went exactly 4 turns on my compound. Exactly 4 turns on each one of those, but for some reason these 2 last ones are wider than that first one. So I don't know what the hell happened there. But anyway, there's the bolt fix. We got 1/4 by 20. And it's not hitting nowhere, and that'll work. So now I'm going to take the gun in the house, and so I'm not touching it so much. I just oiled it last night, so I got to oil this, and we're going to go ahead and start working on this. So we're probably going to make this two different videos. So we're just going to do the gun fix in this video. Now there's another thing I wanted to review on that I just now realized. This tape is not the best. Eventually what I think I'm going to do is do some carvings on here in the place of where the tape is. This tape, as you can see, is starting to peel right there. Well, apparently that stuff doesn't stick as good as I thought it would. And that's basically what this was a test anyway, so this is really not a good idea. So this is my, now that we've used this gun enough, the stock, we know that this year it doesn't work very well. Now there's a good possibility I can just take that tape off of it, polish it, and see how it looks. If it looks okay, just leave it like this. Um, the forearm grip, it seems to be holding up. Nope, it's a little loose too. So, these is, yes, it was a good idea, but at the same time, it was a bad idea. So, if you decide to do something like this, don't. You're just creating an aggravation for you later on down the road. Um, Other than that, the stock's holding up pretty good. That and the fact that this gun vise, this is the home for the Benjamin Discovery. This here sits on my behind my desk, on my toolbox in the office, and this is where it stays. So this is why this has to be addressed on the vise. Other than that, I guess this wraps up the gun bolt fix. So you guys have a good one. Later.